operating out of and are part of our automatic gate agreement. We wanted to decrease ladder response times on the west side, so that apparatus, engine 29 was decommissioned and ladder 17 was staffed. I think it was July 1st of last year, and that unit has, within the last 6-7 months, they're operating out of a new platform, ladder 17, and so and that's a very efficient use of that particular type of resource, a ladder company, and better serves the citizens of Albuquerque.
So the same thing could happen in Station 2. Those kinds of rolling needs could be answered, if you will.
Well, Mr. President, Councilor Godunia, we've done an analysis of the GIS study that was initiated by the labor union. We drilled a little bit deeper in that, and given the infrastructure limitations, that is facility limitations, we have moved every unit where we can get the greatest amount of operational effectiveness from that resource. So we're at that point of given the limitations of our facilities, we're at the point of maximum effectiveness with the resources we currently have.
Well, and I've heard a lot about rolling stock and apparatus, things like that, but I haven't heard anything about what we need to do about this. 800,000 would help us with that. Staff is, I think, much more important. These trucks, ladders, rescue units, whatever, don't drive themselves, and they can't do anything once they get there. So we need to also talk about who's going to drive them, who's going to do the work that is needed when it gets there. And just sending a rescue unit or a ladder doesn't mean anything. So to tout the fact that we have these marvelous, shiny new trucks is wonderful, but it's not as important as the personnel.
I'm going to go to Councilor Sanchez here. We can come back to you, Councilor, if you'd like to, but want to have some other councilors be able to ask some questions. Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question for Mr. Perry. How much money will we have after this budget in ABQ, the plan?
What is the total? $6 million? Yeah. Mr. President, Councilor Sanchez, I believe it's going to be approximately $5 million in non-reoccurring funding. And if I could just address an important point on this, is that I think the Chief's done an excellent job in articulating the programmatic situation of the department, the needs of the department, the different ways that the needs are addressed both in the short, longer term. But this particular piece of legislation looks at taking money away from the vacancy savings in the police department. Well, that's already been programmed into the budget. And sure, we can increase the vacancy savings rate from 4.5 or, to 7 or 10 or the like, but basically what it's doing is it's taking away from the police department's ability to fund those positions. And yes, there is a vacancy number there that's realistic, and on an annual basis will probably remain to be a vacancy rate. But the reality is that you can't double count the money. It's already been adjusted upwards. That's been proposed in the budget. And so now it's an additional increase. And so does this take away from the policy decisions that have already been approved by this council to fund the positions of the public service aides and things like that? I'd argue that it could.
And I respect your position, Mr. Perry, but the question was how much money was allocated or will be allocated to ABQ, the plan. You're saying that it's non-recurring, but the last 3 budget cycles we've appropriated $3 million per budget cycle for the last 3 years. And Mr. Zaman has stated to me that it's about $7 million that's in this fund. And that's one of the real concerns that I have is I can understand us paying for Paseo del Norte and I-25. I supported that 110%. But when we're taking a fire unit away from residents and a rescue unit from the residents in the North Valley and moving it to the west side, which I supported because of the population on the west side, then I do have some concerns. We're putting money for ABQ, the plan, for future plans, when we're not taking care of our current needs. And that's a real concern for me. I mean, somebody that lives in the North Valley, if they call 911, they expect an immediate response to that call. And I'm not sure they're going to get that response. I know the chief is confident that they are, But again, I think it's a policy decision, and it's not the chief's decision to be making that decision. But I just feel it's critical that we provide the rescue unit that was taken away from those residents in the North Valley because of the importance of anytime anybody calls 911. I just think it's vital that we assure the public that we as a city are providing those services. Public safety is paramount to the city of Albuquerque. And I think people don't mind paying their taxes because it's going towards, a lot of it's going towards public safety. And we must provide those services to those residents.
So we're on the FY14 budget committee substitute R13168. This is we're discussing the fifth amendment number 5. Councilor Benton, would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just real quickly, for everyone who supported the citywide fire impact fee area and then supported collecting 25 cents on the dollar of those impact fees for the foreseeable in the foreseeable future. You got to keep that in mind and answer to people from the center city with your vote on this particular amendment. And I personally believe every station should have a rescue. I know we're doing more with less, and we're trying to be efficient. Chief mentioned Rescue 8's training and backfill for this station. At the time we did Rescue 8, that was not considered an issue when all the primary needs were met by the appropriation, which in this case they are at $800,000 a year. And no one begrudges the need for Station 17 to have a rescue out on the west side. That's why I'm just tying in that concern about what we continue to do with providing services to the old District 3 and the present District 2 in the center city. And go down and talk to the people at Rescue 1. The number of calls that they're taking since the closure of Station 4 is up around a third, around 33%, and they are very concerned with the basically lack of commitment to fill a bay at a very expensive station that we just built down at Fire Station 2. So I urge your support. I'm going to continue to work for this regardless of the outcome, but I urge your support. Thank you.
There's been a motion and a second for floor amendment number 5. Those in favor say yes. Those opposed, no. No. Motion fails. We're back on the bill. Councilor Benton.
See a show of hands, sorry.
Yeah. So motion and a second on floor. This is floor amendment number 5. Those in favor say yes and raise your hand.